somewhat dramatic Congress Working Committee meeting which is unfolding in Delhi, and it has turned out to be almost an entirely one-sided affair, with almost every senior leader, including members of the Gandhi Parivar, going after those who wrote the dissenting note. And the chorus overwhelmingly has been, again, as we've been saying somewhat predictably, in support of the Gandhis, asking Sonia Gandhi, who resigned at the initial start of the meeting, said she doesn't want to continue and please initiate a process to bring me back. Overwhelming chorus asking her to continue, and then, of course, a pro-Rahul Gandhi chorus. But during the course of that, when Ghulam Nabi Azad, who's one of the dissenting letter writers, stood up to speak, he read out the letter. Then there was a sharp criticism of him by the Gandhi Parivar, and he in fact offered to resign, saying that if you're alleging that I've been in tandem with the BJP, then I will resign. Kapil Sibal also tweeting that it's shocking to suggest that that we are in tandem with the BJP. We also have a tweet from Devya Spandana, who is the former social media head of the Congress, where she says that not only did they leak the letter to the media, but they continue to leak minute-to-minute conversations of the Congress Working Committee meeting that's going on right now to the media. Amazing. But just to clarify that as far as we are concerned at NDTV, we are not getting our minute-to-minute or real-time updates from those who are the dissenters or those who leaked the letter. We have our own separate sources who've been giving us the information that is coming in. But it's certainly making for a very fascinating minute-to-minute tracking of this very volatile Congress Working Committee meeting. So just to go across to my colleague Sunil Prabhu. Sunil, you've been covering so many of these CWCs before, perhaps nothing quite like this for some time. This is both a virtual meet and it's turned out to be a very volatile meet. But given the trajectory, the shape, the pattern that this is heading in, Sunil, where is this going to end up? Because Rahul is yet to speak and we don't know what he is going to say. So in which direction do you think this is going, Sunil?
Well, I just spoke to Mr. Kapil Sibal, who has tweeted, and he's clearly livid at this stage with the comments that have been made in terms of trying to say that they're colluding with the BJP. And I think he's quite categorical in his tweets, as well as he's saying that I have had income tax raids, I've had income tax questions, my family has been searched. We have been fighting for the party. We have been defending Rahul Gandhi in Parliament, outside Parliament. We have been persecuted. And now to allege that we are, part of the BJP and colluding with them is totally uncalled for and totally unacceptable. And I think what he's saying reflects what the other signatories to that letter feel somewhere down the line, that to be attacked of being in collusion with the BJP is deeply unfortunate too, just as the letter, as Dr. Manmohan Singh said, is unfortunate. Definitely, Srinivasan, as you're pointing out, this is a virtual Congress Working Committee, not the first. This is the third, if I'm not mistaken, or actually the fourth virtual meeting that has taken place post the lockdown that has started. And it's in that backdrop that the Congress party right now is trying to find a way forward. Much will depend on the mood and the way they need to take things forward. You can precipitate a crisis, as Rahul Gandhi is attempting to do, and say you're either with us or against us, and the whole chorus is choreographed by the party, with the rank and files coming out strongly in support of Congress President Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi to take over. Or you can try to address the essence of that letter in its entirety. I don't think at present they want to address that issue of the letter and its entirety. That at this stage the attempt is being made to attack those, and this is of course, as I've been saying from last night, on predictable lines, that those who wrote the letter will be attacked. We will have to wait and watch and see how it pans out now. Because once that 2 to 3 hour gap is over, you go to a point of no return, because the tutu maimes will carry on, which we have seen in CWC's meetings, and then you have to try to find a resolution to see whether Rahul Gandhi is now ready to lead the party as has been requested by others, or do they have to find a new way forward in terms of finding a leader? So this is something that we'll have to wait and play out. But as of today, as of this hour, the meeting is going as per predictable lines of people coming out in support of Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi.
Right, Sunil. So that's the line along which it's going. Thank you, Sunil. Keep coming back to us with more updates. So basically, the continuing updates, as Sunil was saying, all sort of following a particular line that now Ambika Soni is speaking, another senior leader, another Gandhi Parivar loyalist. She is criticizing Ghulam Nabi Azad, saying that Ghulam Nabi Azad has behaved irresponsibly. So that's the trajectory it's taking. Javed Ansari and Deshatan Nigam are both back with us. Javed Ansari, of course, senior journalist. Nalini Singh, also senior journalist, is with us. Deshatan Nigam, political analyst, supports the RSS, all with us. So, Javed, this is going, in some ways, one could say this is going per script, except, Javed, the very pointed attacks on the letter writers by the Gandhi family themselves. Rahul Gandhi actually insinuating that they are in cahoots with the BJP. That's something which I don't think was expected.
Yes, I'm a bit surprised by the tone and tenor, the belligerence on Rahul Gandhi's part, and also the fact that both Rahul and Mrs. Gandhi chose to rebuke Ghulam Nabi Azad, the leader of the opposition, in the Rajya Sabha while he was speaking. This seems to suggest that they are not likely to forgive or forget easily, that they are not in the mood, that there won't be a peaceful resolution to this problem. And I do believe that the divide, the fault lines within the party are getting wider rather than being bridged, unless, of course, Mrs. Gandhi intervenes towards the end and asserts herself and plays a statesman-like role.
Right.
And unless that happens, I do fear that there's going to be more trouble ahead in the Congress party.
Right. Nalini Singh, do you think that it's building up to a scenario, because it doesn't look like even Sonia Gandhi is in a reconciliatory mood? We were told that she was also part of the kind of taking on of someone like Ghulam Nabi Azad. So do you think it's building up to a scenario where these letter writers may have to resign?
That's a scenario that, frankly, Vasu, I hadn't thought about. You're almost saying, do I see a split going forward? Maybe not immediately, but a split in the Congress party.
Yes.
That is a scenario that I haven't considered this morning. But I must say that having turned this meeting about themselves, the Gandhis have weakened the party, because it is, they are asking for a Congress president and a leadership to be visible, to be accessible, to be in the field, to be 24/7 on the job. And this is regarded as a revolt. I started this morning by saying how feudal our political parties are, even those who are saying that we are democratic. The only saving grace in the Congress party today, I feel, is that people are having their say. And what I had not expected was daggers drawn, but so be it. But at least there is some democracy that you see for the very, 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 very first time in the Congress party after a very long time. I think after the 50s, or maybe the mid 50s or the early 60s. After that, the first time. So I would say that this is going to be, these are the 23 Ginger group are going to be as offended as the Gandhis. But let me just say one thing. For the sake of Indian democracy, all presidents have to be, Rahul Gandhi or anybody else who comes along, wisdom, acumen, judgment, and decency. One expects
but
these
where is this?
things.
But Nalini Singh, where is this magical combination going to come from?
No, I mean, Rahul Gandhi's taken the mantle of the lonely lone ranger, lonely, angry lone ranger. How is that going to happen? How can he scold people like this?
Right.
There is a decency involved in this, even in politics, which has come to where we know where it has come to. there is decency involved.
Okay.
We are not even talking about elections to the CWC.
Right.
The Congress Working Committee, one of the demands was that let there be elections. So what is so offensive about that?
But why
Egos
that's-
are so fragile.
Yeah.
Our egos are very fragile. I have
That's
to say.
something which, that's the point, I think, Deshratan Nigam, which we were talking about earlier as well, that no party actually wants to hold internal elections, and that's a big problem. And this is not targeting party A or B, everybody. I mean, even the BJP doesn't hold genuine internal elections. Don't you feel as a political observer that regardless of party A or B, that's healthy for democracy? Like you see in America, other countries, you hold an election and then you win and you stake claim to be leader of the party.
See, let me again, I think there cannot be a comparison between BJP and the Congress. Congress, it is inheritance, and in BJP, there is a due
No, I'm
process
talking
which
of
has
all
been laid
parties
down.
now. All parties, not just BJP,
Yes.
Congress.
No, there is in other parties. I mean, you have to make segregation out here. Family-run parties and the other parties. Say, for example, Communist Party also has their own system. I may not agree with their ideology, but they have their own system of, leadership which comes up through grassroots level, which is unlike in the case of family-run parties. BJP also has the system where the grassroots level politicians come through a process and occupy the highest post.
Elections. No elections. Why not hold elections?
No, elections do take place, but sometimes the appointments are also there, and that is done through consensus. This is something which is going on, and ideally there should be an election. I agree with
But
you.
Mr. Nigam,
But
I don't think when you say elections are sometimes there, has a single BJP president, to your knowledge, been elected through like a proper election, where it's
let me
with
tell
a
you,
contest, a
process-
contested election, like you have in America?
See, the fact is, BJP, the way it appoints, not many people know about it. It is a process that is discussed, threadbare, and then the person comes out through. And that's a very democratic process. You want
But
the
that's-
visible elections?
That's
on
my whole
paper,
point. Desh, when you say that no one knows about it, that's because it's completely opaque. Nobody knows how it actually works. It's just you
let
have
me
a
tell
name,
you,
speculation, and suddenly one person is announced, and it's a fait accompli. Everyone has to accept it. Nobody can
See,
tomorrow say, how did Mr. Amit Shah get
let-
appointed? How did Mr. Nadda get appointed? Show us the entire process. That doesn't happen.
See, let me tell you, there is a process through which a president in the BJP comes. Now, that process is working very fine for the BJP. And it's just showing results. And where people have come through grassroots level, as again I would say, which is unlike the Congress, where the parachute landing takes place and inheritance is there.
Okay.
And secondly, if you look at the whole system of discussion which is going on right now, it is a very carefully crafted path which has led from the core basic issues to the family. So core basic issues have gone in the background, and the family again has come in the forefront. So ginger is actually, you call them ginger or whatever, but ginger is finally proving to be very bitter for the family. And
Right, ginger is proving
yes.
to be bitter. Let me on that note go to Neerja Chaudhary. Neerja Chaudhary, a very interestingly poised Congress Working Committee meeting. On one hand, the allegation that it's actually this particular group of outside, whatever you call them, dissenters, who are serving the interests of the BJP by writing this letter. Allegation made by no less than Rahul Gandhi. On the other hand, Neerja Chaudhary, some could argue that by this CWC and the Gandhi Parivar attacking this group and once again, in a sense, getting or seeking pledges of loyalty, that actually benefits the BJP more than anything else.
Absolutely, because you're going to get a reaction in the country, and as I keep saying, it's young India. It's a young India that is turning against the politics of entitlement. So the Gandhi family also needed to play this very differently. Mrs. Sonia Gandhi wanted to turn the tables on these 23 people, and that's perfectly all right for her to want to do that. But I thought that they would start a process of, moving towards elections through the Congress president, to the CWC, and also maybe she will call the senior people, a group of them, and say, now how do we move forward? These are the issues you have raised. How do we address them? And yet have her own person, whether it's Rahul Gandhi or somebody else, loyalists to the Gandhi family in place as the interim president and maybe finally as the president. But instead of addressing these issues, they are now going to the extent of calling these people who've been loyal to the
as
party
traitors.
as traitors, as BJP stooges. I mean, is that the language you use for a Ghulam Nabi Azad after decades of his work for the Congress party? And all the others here, I'm only taking one name. He's your leader of opposition. I mean, I find it tragic. I really find this very, very sad day today. But the Congress missed this opportunity finally to address the issues that are dogging its step for so long and which need to be looked at, and then to turn it around and make these people who raise the issue, and it's unprecedented. The Congress has not had this kind of, open articulation. They have done, behind the scenes, mujhe ye chahiye, usko ye chahiye, ye kar dete hain. It's a very risky thing that these 23 people have done. And I think
it could have actually, and in fact, one of them, Anand Sharma is now getting his chance to speak. Let's see what is his reaction, or what is the CWC's reaction to him speaking. Remember, he's also a signatory to this letter. Will he also get attacked? We'll have to wait and see. But Nalini Singh, is that, something that is going to, in fact, the BJP would be watching this and saying this is turning out to be yet another self-goal if this is the direction it's going?
The BJP will be watching it and will be hoping that the Congress party doesn't remember what I'm just going to recall for you or recount, which is that when in 2009 the BJP lost, Yashwant Sinha ji, I remember, came from Hazaribagh and he said, I thought the party would call its parliamentary board, it will be calling a meeting, a big meeting to analyze, to, now to absolutely say what happened to us, why did we lose once more. He says, nobody was called. I was stunned that I was never given any information that there's going to be a meeting of introspection of what. So finally, this was in 2009, 10, 11, and in 13, you see Mr. Narendra Modi coming along. So parties move in mysterious ways. BJP has also moved in a mysterious way. So I would say that maybe, judging from these mysterious undercurrents that you and I are not privy to, at least I'm not, I would say that maybe all is not lost for the Congress party, even for the Ginger group. But anger by Mr. Rahul Gandhi, I think, would be totally unacceptable. How can you be angry at people who've been with the party for 50 years, 55 years? And, and what about the grassroots? Has he gone around and said, okay, to the CWC, let's have an election with somebody who's won the election 5 times at the MLA level? Or 4 times at the member parliament level. Has he said that? How can you just get angry?
There was a great lost opportunity here, an opportunity now lost of having taken on this letter in a positive way and said, listen, we welcome criticism, at least we're a rare political party that allows such airing of views, and let's address the issues they raise or some such. That's clearly not happened. But let me just quickly go around the panel and ask a question asked earlier as well, starting with you, Javed, as to, at the end of all this, what's going to happen? Is Rahul going to, because Sonia says she's out, so suppose she's not persuaded to come back, will Rahul stick around and say, okay, I'm willing to come back? Or is he out as well?
I'd be very surprised and it'll be extremely foolhardy if he comes back, because Mrs. Gandhi, and if I'm not wrong, I saw it on your channel, with Mrs. Gandhi in her opening remarks, not only did she say that she would not want to continue, she also mentioned the fact that nobody from her family would
no, she didn't. Sorry, Javed, correction there. She actually didn't say that. It was expected she would say that. But she simply said, I'm not continuing and please start the process of finding a successor.
Okay, so anyway, given the circumstances, when Rahul Gandhi in 2017, when he became president, there was near unanimity, barring the sole exception of Shehzad Poonewala. There was near unanimity. Even those who had reservations kept their powder dry. This time and now, there is a clear division in the party. Not everybody is enthusiastic about his return as Congress president. The present crisis has a lot to do with him, the tone and tenor and the way he conducts himself, his lack of man management skills, etc. So this is not the most opportune moment for Rahul Gandhi to come back. Whoever comes back, replaces Mrs. Gandhi will have to be somebody of their choice or somebody who enjoys their support. Because whether you like the Gandhis or you don't, the fact is that they are a power to be reckoned with within the Congress party, and therefore you can't have somebody who's inimical to Congress.
Okay.
It will be in the interest of the Congress party that even at this late stage, they should try and resolve this rather than trying to squash those who've raised issues.
Okay.
There are many issues in that letter
Right.
which need to be addressed and are in the interest of the party.